In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I need to double check. I don't have anything in my teeth. I think I'm okay. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Moon Tea podcast. I think 31, maybe. You know who the co-hosts are. Today we have Daniel, Chae.
Hello. I don't even really know what the podcast is about, but I'm on here.
He also goes by Chae.
Yes.
And I guess you're visiting for a few days, and I was like, yeah, feel free to stay. By the way, do you want to be on the podcast? And then that's how I roped him into it.
Yeah. I'm staying at John's place, so I feel obliged to do this. But no, I'm happy to be on. Like John mentioned, you guys were doing a podcast like a month or two ago, and so it's cool that you guys are still doing it.
Excited. So glad to have you on, Daniel. Chae, what do you like to go by?
Daniel is great.
All right.
A moniker that I use for like business and stuff, but Daniel's cool.
All right. Sweet. Cool. Where do you guys want to start? Daniel and I just met right now. Daniel seems awesome. Robinson. Yeah. Do you want to introduce yourself, or John, do you want to introduce Daniel? Up to you guys and go from there.
You could introduce me, or what's your impression of me, I guess.
Whoa. Going in deep.
Not impression, just like how would you introduce me?
Yeah, so Daniel and I are, I think, second cousins.
Yes.
And yeah, we spent a lot of like Thanksgivings together growing up. So our families know each other. And he got married like 1 month ago.
Yeah, it's been like a month. Yeah, a month and a half. Yeah.
And he's part of this band called Run River North. They make great music. Also a music producer, and is good at violin, and probably like 4 other instruments as well. So he's the like cooler cousin, and then I'm the one that stares at a screen for like 8 hours a day.
No way, man. If you want to be broke like I am, then you can be as cool as you want. Cool. Yeah.
Very cool.
Very broken. That's like, it's perfectly interchangeable. Yeah, I guess I'll hop onto that. About 10 years ago, an opportunity came my way where I could be a part of a band professionally. And so I had to leave my full-time day-to-day job, choose between that or to pursue music for full-time. And after a lot of thought and going against my parents' wishes, I decided to just go for it. I was like 23 and figured like, this probably won't happen again, so I have to take advantage of this. And so that's kind of how the band started, Run River North. And at this moment, kind of transitioning into producing full time. So it's a journey, and it's too late to turn back. So I'm going for it. Yeah, that's kind of me.
He was also like good student and everything, working in finance. So had a traditional like good job.
Yes.
And then just put that all to the side and pursued music. And I'm sure you had a lot of great stories.
Yes.
From that.
Absolutely. It was costly for sure, but I don't think it amounts to the experiences I've had in place of that. So I got to do so much and see a lot of the world, and so I wouldn't trade that in.
Yeah. That's so cool. It's amazing. What made you do that? I have no doubt that was a really difficult decision for you. especially probably coming from an Asian American or Asian background. So with that, how did you navigate that at that time and just end up where you are? It seems amazing.
That's like I'm really underselling how difficult that decision was. I really I still think about how hard I worked throughout like grade school and college to like get a good job, and like I even determined to finish college in 3 years to save money, like tuition, so I wouldn't go in debt. And I just knew I had done music as a teenager, and really tried to make it as in a band, and I don't know, the teenage version of me got disappointed very hard because that didn't work out. But because it happened so easily for Run River North, I just knew that that opportunity was once in a lifetime. And I don't know, something in me was just you have to take this. It was funny, we were in Seattle recording. I had saved up 3 weeks of vacation, so working 2 years with no vacation, so that we could record in Seattle for a month. And 2 weeks passed by, I get a phone call and they're like, you can't take more than 2 weeks from work. And then I go back and forth, and I say hey, I saved my vacation days for this, but they had a policy, you can't take more than 10 consecutive business days. And so I was I called my manager, and I was hey, I have to do this. Is there any way we can make this work? I'll even fly down for the weekend and get all of my deliverables in. And he was no, you can't do it. And I broke down to my manager, we don't have a personal relationship, it's just professional. I was I'm crying to this man. And I fly down anyway, and I finish all my deliverables. And then on Monday, I come into work, and my boss's boss was you can't go back. And then I was I have to, we're recording. And they were very careful. It was funny, now that I think back, they're very careful, so you're saying you're resigning, right? Basically I figured that they didn't want to pay me what is it,
Unemployment.
Exactly,
Yeah.
for firing me. And they're just very careful. And I was yes. And then so I resigned, sign on the dotted line, and then I fly back up. And it's literally that's career suicide right there in finance. And so that was 10 years ago. And to answer your question, I knew it was special, and I knew it was worth it, and I still believe it is. I think I was, as a 23-year-old, I was making 6 figures, and that probably would have kept going up, but that's just a number. I don't know. It's sure, it is unstable, or it's not as stable as I would like it to be sometimes. But I think, I don't know. It's I think I chose the right decision.
That's amazing. Wow.
You also made the decision that a lot of other people are, well, number one, a lot of people go that route, kind of traditional career, because it's oh, I don't really know what I want, might as well find a lucrative career. And then the second thing is a lot of people don't know what to do if not for that, because I think most people want to work, and most people want to contribute to society in some way.
Absolutely.
And so that kind of lining up was not everyone gets that chance. I don't have a band that's hey, we're about to go on tour, do you want to come for 3 weeks? And Hugh, maybe Hugh does, but
yeah, I wish. That would be cool. No, that's so cool. So for Run River North, it was in the forming stages, and so you got to be a core player and have been in it. Wow.
Yeah, it's so funny. Back to the teenager story. I by trying hard, I meant we would practice every single day for hours, and then try to sell tickets to our friends, and like just to hopefully sell out a show. But like with Run River, it was like it just happened automatically. Like people would do the work for us, or like word spread, and like we didn't have to like grind it out. And I think like that was a pretty clear sign that like, whoa, this is like way bigger than I could have forced it or planned it out to be. And I don't know, I think I just recognized that opportunity. And yeah, for me to go against my parents, like we kind of touch on this in the band, like our parents as immigrants, like I just imagine like if Hugh, like me, you, or John, like moved to like, I don't know, like Lithuania, right? Like to try to learn their language, to hopefully hope in the hopes that our kids would have a better life, and like just grind it out at like a liquor store for 30 years, and then your kid going like, I'm not gonna just he just like throws it back at your face, right? Like that's essentially like I don't know. That's I kind of equate to that to like what I did, and you know, they're you know, they're so proud of who I am, and we have a great relationship, me and my parents. But like at the time, it was like it was very difficult, and I knew it was a lot to give up.
Wow, that's amazing. That's so difficult. I'm so curious to drill into this a bit more, is
Yeah.
to dig deeper in the sense of how did that relationship first start when you went and did that big career suicide change and switch careers, and then how did you all work together to work on the communication? It sounds like you have a really good one now, because honestly, I'm sure there's so many more out there. And I even, you know, like,
I ultimately think that our relationship got stronger from that. Like it was like we had to communicate in an open way, which I could confidently say we hadn't done up until then. So like for my entire 23 years up until then, like we communicated, but like to tell them like what I want and like to back it up with my actions, I don't think I've ever done that. And so there were tons of fights. I was kicked out of the house a handful of times. I had screaming matches with my mom, but like through those matches, like as time passed by and like they saw us achieve some success, and like they saw how true I felt about this, I think eventually they came around. And yeah, this was a multi-year process. It wasn't an overnight thing. It was, you know, both sides really digging down and expressing, you know, the truth, which is hard to measure when you're in it, you know. But like when you look back, I think, yeah, this is, they know me, you know, and I know them, and I think that there's a maturity in relationship in that. I think that's better than like pretending or like having this form of what an idea of a relationship should be.
Or like checking boxes because that's what your parents and the people around you expect from you.
Correct. Which is a very Asian thing, I think. Like, I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, I think it's just, as Asians, it's like it's what's expected, and we kind of touched on scope, you know, earlier. Like this is like Confucianism. I don't know how long it goes back, but that was probably what was drilled down into family like behavior for hundreds, thousands of years, you know. And so I don't think it's a bad thing. It just was foreign to both sides, like for my side and for my parents. Yeah.
yeah, that sounds difficult. It's interesting. You used some really key words there where you said that you knew exactly what you were wanting, and it was really a communication issue in the sense of just expressing what it is you truly felt and growing from that.
Yeah.
How and when do you think you realized? Because I think there's a difference where some people have a passion or are really interested in a certain projection in life and don't really go down that. They kind of go this way or that way and are able to be malleable. But for you, what is it about music that clicked for you?
Sure.
And
yeah,
how
that's
do
a
you
great
know?
question. This is something I've kind of come across more recently, but like I still play violin at like this mega church because you can't say no to church money. Like God bless them. Like, I love everyone there. But like, with that said, when I play violin at these church services, like, I don't even like know the songs sometimes. This is very embarrassing to share, but like, I don't even know the songs sometimes, but like, I know my abilities in that craft so confidently that like, that's the one place where I can close my eyes and just like kind of get lost. Like, or like, you know, like when you run, you're not thinking about like, okay, like move your knee up, and you're not thinking about that in micro fractions like that. It just kind of happens. And so like, in a similar way, like, music is like that for me. Like, I know that's one thing that I'm better at than most people. And so like, that's what I'm gonna like kind of like, push my bets into, like push my chips into. Like, I'm gonna lean on that because I know I have a competitive advantage over other people. Like, I wouldn't feel the same way with somebody who, like, if I was passionate about like drawing or like graphic design, because like I can like make something nice, I guess, but like not to the point where it's just happens, And I think knowing that for me recently is like helped me kind of in my recent decision to like pursue producing. Like, I could close my eyes. And another thing, I don't mind losing sleep about it. Like, I could work really hard and it's 3 a.m. and I'll be like, whoa, like, where did the time go? Like, so I think it's identifying those things. And but also, it's not the difference between passion and a hobby is knowing that you love it, but also being really good at it. Yeah.
Amazing. That's so cool. Sounds like you have a very, and I would not be surprised and doubt it, is you have a very strong technical understanding of music that has now crossed over with the emotional and the intuitive. And so it sounds like when you play, you're able to just close your eyes and just be in the flow state, I suppose.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly. Yeah.
It also helps to have worked like professionally with music, and then also for the decades before that, like training
right
to get there. And so you've worked with different musicians and different venues, and you've set up like all the systems in different places. And so yeah, I mean, it makes sense why music production is it's like you're still working with artists and creative people, and you also have that core competency of
like like the 10,000 hours thing. Like, I've put in that times 10, like, honestly, with music. And so like Neo in the Matrix, who sees like the flying bullet, like, everyone I think has that, it like just within themselves. They just have to identify that, like, everyone has spent more than 10,000 hours on something. It's just being able to like dig through and identify it and like kind of like start chipping away at it, I think. Yeah.
Amazing.
Cool. What is the production world like, and like how do artists get connected with you? And like, how do you work with them, and like, how does that whole process work?
Yeah, I think in a nutshell, the production world is like, if you can imagine a movie, somebody has a script, like, the role of a producer in 2021 is to be the director and be executor. So like, I would say like, be the director and the, what is it? What's the film guy? The director of photography, like, to execute it and to like put things in their place. I think, like anything, now that I'm 33 and I'm starting to figure this out, even music producing, it's a people business. Like, I think it's all about relationships. And I remember like at USC, like my first day at orientation, they're like, it's all about your contacts. And I was like, sure, buddy, like, whatever. Like, but I think I'm really realizing you could be the best at X, Y, and Z, but if you don't if you're not a good person, and if you don't like bring more people into your world to help others win, like it doesn't matter. Like I could be the best. Like you see that like on YouTube, like guitar shredders, like the fastest guitar person in the world. Like there's a reason that they're not John Mayer or something, or like another ex musician that's famous, you know. Like just because you can execute well doesn't mean anything. It's how you package it, and how you package your product so that the most people can benefit from it. Take your ego aside. And so in music, it's very interesting. Like it's not about, for me, I don't think it's about taking advantage of situations. It's just literally being a good person and helping the other person achieve their vision. Like that's when a producer is at their best. Yeah, that's kind of producing in a nutshell. But I think like there are, you know, tenets in that apply to everything in this world. Yeah, like if somebody was coding the world, like that is a line of code that was programmed into everything. Like it's about like how the most people can, you know, benefit from somebody's skill. Yeah.
That's awesome. So I feel like, well, first of all, what type of genre are you in? What is Run River North is, and what is your production? Like, what do you like to do?
Run River North is like I would call it indie folk. 2012 is when the band started, and that was like, if you can imagine, like peak Mumford and Sons, and like what was that Denver band, the Hey Ho, Lumineers. Yeah, Lumineers, so like that. Yep. That's kind of when Run River North birth. But then like, you know, music changes like every single year, and
so now you're just like BTS indie. No, I'm just kidding.
Exactly. No, that would be dope. I'd be so down for that. Yeah, like we've evolved, but like that's kind of what that is. Producing wise, yeah, you never like one thing. I think you just go at the time. Right now, it's like Lorem is like a big playlist on Spotify, or like it's like indie chill or something. I don't know, like how you describe it. It's like bandy music that's like not pop, is the way I would describe the type of music I do.
Right on. Like, yeah, like lo-fi, chill hop, the chill fi. I don't know the genres, but then I guess with some indie folk mixes in between.
Yeah, I guess it's like kids who try to be cool or think that they're cool. Like that's kind of like where I live. I'm not like actually, I just like try to be, so it's like even worse.
Oh, this is so good. Oh, this is so good. So funny. Wow. Yeah, I feel like I don't have too much experience in the music production world, but I did watch a Blackpink documentary.
Oh yeah, on Netflix. I've seen that too.
And you know the guy with the mask on, who's the producer. Yeah, he's a game changer. He's like the mastermind behind it all.
So he, oh my God, like talk about 10,000 hours. Like he put in his time since the 90s in this band called DJ Doc, I think. Or this other band called 1TYM, One Time. Anyway, that's when he got to start. And ever since then, he's had his grips on every Korean production since then, all the way to the point where he's still relevant and doing the biggest, you know, Blackpink. You know, like that. I think he's like one of the richest guys in Korea, like through music of all things. Like,
is he a producer?
Yeah, I'm sure he has like 100 people under him that write songs for him, but like he's the one that slaps his name on at the end. Like he's like built an industry.
He's like the JYP,
kind of like that. Yeah, exactly. But he's like much respect to that guy.
That's amazing. He's the good.
That's you in like 4 or 5 years.
I hope so. I really hope so. Like, yeah, the beauty about music production is you get to kind of like dip your hands into a lot of different projects, and also attain equity in these projects. Like, whereas for Run River North, it was one project only, and yes, I had a share of that, but as a producer, you have a smaller share, but in like anybody you work with, basically, like, so as many other bands as you work. I think that's a viable you know, business model. So hopefully something like that.
Wow. I'm curious, how does that actually work when you have equity distributions regarding a certain music record, album record, or song or label?
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's a, like with anything, like relationships get a little tricky when money's introduced, and like that is a big topic that uh bands have broken up over. Uh there's this thing in music, until every party has agreed to the splits, uh no payment goes out. So there's like huge songs that have paid out zero royalties because the parties haven't agreed on uh the splits, like the equity splits. And so
Is it just sitting in a bank account
exactly
somewhere?
it's
Wow.
just it's being held. And so like all these royalties are being collected, but like, yeah, so it's like it has a lot to do with ego. And back to the people thing, like I think the more successful producers tend to be ones with less egos and are easier to work with, but while simultaneously killing it, like crushing, like executing at the highest level. And uh or you're Teddy, and I think like, yeah, he just like his chip stack is so big he could just bully people with it. Like the Korean guy, the Blackpink guy.
So is it,
Blackpink in your area.
Nice.
so it's about like being the person who's like mixing it, but then also the person who like maybe like has a vision for the band.
That's correct. Like there's so many there's so many intangible thing like factors that go into how a song should be split, but that is part of it. Sometimes, like as a producer, I could argue, hey, like this song wouldn't have happened if I didn't step in this, and so like give me this share. Or like, yeah, it's just this weird conversation that happens all the time. And so that's why like managers get involved. So on the creative side, like you don't have to have these awkward conversations. And yeah, a lot of the times it's just a staring contest over email. It's like, I think we should get this, and then the other party will be like, no. And then just back and forth.
Do producers have managers, or is it producers talking to the other musicians' managers?
At a certain level, most producers have managers, so that it's to the point where they just drive to work or go to work, and then all they have to focus on is the creative side.
Oh, no way. So it's kind of like the Hollywood industry where you have talent sourcers, and then you go to the tryout or get sourced into a show. Oh, interesting. And you just go act.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
exactly. Like, and like the gatekeepers are the ones, like are the labels that have these relationships with all of these producers and artists. And yeah, I think that's what labels are. They just know everybody and can connect you. And so it's very similar, yeah, with Hollywood, and I think any industry, honestly. Like that's just, yeah, there's
How hard is it to make it without being part of it's not what you do or what you know, but who you know? How hard is it to make it in the industry as a non-label?
I think it's impossible. As like 5 years ago, I would have said like, no, it is possible. Look at X, Y, and Z. But like, I think as time goes by, there's only one Frank Ocean. He's like him and Chance the Rapper and Macklemore for some reason. Like, okay, so like let's say that's 3. Let's say there's like 6. Let's double that. Let's say there's 6 out of 10 million X. Like they did it without this entourage of people behind them. And I think it's a rare thing. I think a lot of creator musicians want to attain that, but like odds are like you have a better shot like winning the lotto. So yeah.
What do you think it is? Is it distribution, getting name out, advertising?
I think social media is big. I think the like artists being able to reach a massive audience, and on top of that, that's one thing. So like right now there's like TikTok stars. There's like this one TikTok of this guy playing or this girl playing a song will get like 10 million hits, right? And then like there's a lot of labels signing these kind of artists now. But I'm not saying that's the way to do it. The problem is like, will the same 10 million people tune in for the next song? And so like you see the industry, like everyone like hoarding TikTok stars, and then now it's like they're kind of stepping away because like they're seeing that that's not a viable model. So back to your question, social media is a big thing. It's being able to reach a huge amount of people, but then also having them be return customers. Like that is a very, very difficult task. And I think the industry is kind of shifting back to the old model where you just need to develop talent and like build a good product. Basically, you need to build a great product that has staying power. And it's like anything in business.
Did you and your band work with the same label the whole time, or did you?
We did. A lot of baby artists, like we were signed terrible label deals where you have to deliver like 3 full-length albums. That's basically like signing away 10 years of your life. And so that's like basically career suicide. The label will be like, hey, like we'll help you be big, and then you're locked up for 10 years. And it's terrible that labels do that. But like because of the internet and because of social media, like artists are gaining leverage to be able to be like, hey, no, like I can make $100,000 a year without you. Like, what are you going to do for me that changes the game? And yeah, there's a lot more. It's a more even playing field now. But it's fascinating to see how technology always affects, older business models and structures. Like it happens now, and it'll continue happening in the future at an accelerating rate, which is frightening.
It's true.
Yeah, I'm scared.
And people like Hugh will be the ones drawing the right boxes and designing. Hugh is a designer.
Okay, nice.
No, it's fun. Yeah, no, I'm so curious in this world. I think John and I are very tech nerdy side of things, and it's fun. I mean, especially with regards to what one of our passion projects and or studies is the crypto world and blockchain world.
Oh yeah, and dude. How come we've never talked about this? I'm as very passionate as well. Yeah. How far down the rabbit hole like have you guys gone? Like when did you guys get started, and like can we talk about this?
Sure. Yeah, totally. I mean, one of the things that I'm super curious about, especially with having you on, is in the music industry, you've got Spotify, and now I forget the name of it. Do you remember it? There's Audius. Yes. Yeah. I was wondering if you had any thoughts, because I was going to be like, so what are your thoughts on Spotify?
Yeah.
Content creators, how are you doing it with Audius, and or possibly thoughts on NFTs and or constant royalties from everything you create? Like, what is the heartbeat on this?
As a creative and as somebody who's passionate about, blockchain, like I think it's going to be like a messy road, like with everything. It's like you kind of stumble forward. The problem with Audius right now is I think there's not enough creatives that are interested in blockchain technology. And the problem that Audius has to overcome is they need to have as big or some kind of competitive reach as Spotify does. And like, you have to build a great product to do that. Like you have to, when you hit play, the song has to play immediately. Or like when you hit, search for an artist, like there's so many like features within Spotify that are, like so many products that are well like integrated into the system. Like when you search for an artist, like related artists come out, or like you can see the produce, like all these little things, right? And so I think Audius has to get there. But from a conceptual point of view, like heck yeah, like if you can get like royalties like that you are deserved for owning that song, come on, like that's the dream of a creative, so like maybe a couple years out, but I think it's early. Like I have an artist or like some kind of me and my producer partner have started an account, but like I don't, I'm not gonna see any money from that, even like or anytime soon. Even with NFTs, like the music industry's approach has been like, oh, like this is a way we can like sell like $1 million worth of whatever, and then like that's it. That's the extent of the knowledge. Like they're not trying to think beyond that, like how like game changing this actually is. And so I think it's going to take a lot of awareness of crypto like to grow throughout the world, but it's early days, but it's exciting. Yeah, fascinating stuff.
So good.
Daniel asked how he got started, and I'm actually curious, Hugh, how you got started, because
Yeah.
I I don't know like how you got into it.
I'm trying to remember, to be honest. I think I had an eye on it for a long time. I was working at the Apple store as a product specialist. I would sell iPhones and laptops and everything. And I remember there's this one gentleman, first time I ever got exposed to it. Second time was you, John. First time was this gentleman quit. Or no, he didn't really. Well, he was on his free time. You get 15-minute breaks. And this guy was trading Bitcoin and or crypto on his free time, and I was like, what is happening? So this is 2017. I'm not that early of an adopter. The first time I ever saw it was when I was in Edinburgh, and I was studying abroad there in 2014, and I remember looking at it at $300 and being like, man, I want to get a Bitcoin. And I didn't have $300 in my bank. I couldn't, and I didn't ask parents or anything, and couldn't do that. So like I kind of miss that. And then, oh wait. Actually, I'm really thinking right now. Actually, so there's even before that. I had an ex-girlfriend, and her brother was really big into tech, and he was the first one that ever mentioned Bitcoin to me. And we were in Hawaii, and he mentioned how he just gave a friend a Bitcoin or two.
Wow.
And I was like, man, I should get a Bitcoin, but I never got into it. And it was probably like 50 to 100. Man, we could be millionaires right now. This is terrible. No, so I really started looking into it once John and I started learning out about it. And that was probably like 2018, 2019. I lost a bit on the 2017 craze. And that was my first, burned by the iron. And then I'm like, okay, I need to really figure out what I'm doing here. So it's a bummer.
How about you?
Yeah, I guess everyone has the like, I could have bought it back then story.
Yeah.
I remember seeing an interview with the Winklevoss twins.
Yeah.
And they had some lofty predictions. And I remember going to Coinbase and looking at the price, seeing that it was like $400, and thinking, these guys have lost their minds. And then in like August of 2017 or September, I was looking for work, and I got connected to a now bankrupt company.
In crypto?
Yeah, it was a crypto project, and it paid in Bitcoin.
Wow.
And then once I got paid in it on like, I was on one of the earliest decentralized exchanges.
What the heck?
Like 4 years ago. And yeah, when I got paid in it, it became very real, and I would just like spend all my time researching it. And
yeah, that was kind of your exposure to it, for sure.
Yeah. How about you?
Mine was pretty early. I think like I saw it around like, I saw like Reddit links being shared in like 2013, 14. And then like, I remember clearly the Dogecoin thing. Like, I think people like shared links because it was a cute picture. But then like, obviously like at the time, like everyone was like, it's so novel, and like the barrier to entry was so high. I felt like people like deep in forums, like on 4chan and like heavy like Reddit users were like into it. So I was like, I'm into tech, but like not that much. And then yeah, on the write up, like 2016, 17, there was a story of a guy. We were on tour, and this guy, he was just like, so like we're a band and there was another band, and then like you play the show and then you like travel to the next city, not together, but like in different, you caravan, right? And then like there's this one stretch where like he played a show, and then the next show he was like, oh my god, like, and then the next show he was like, oh my god, like basically he had like, I don't know, 100 Bitcoin, and then it went from like 300 to 2,000. And then I was like, you know, I study finance. I've been trading since 2012. Like that, I was like, dude, you have to sell, right? And then he's like, no. And then that he rode that to like 4,000, and then it crashed down to like 600, and then quickly recovered, right? But when it crashed, I was like, I told you, right? But he didn't sell. fast forward a couple months later, like Bitcoin's 20,000. He's like, I got out a little earlier, and then like he's like, everyone's DMing me right now. But that was it. I was like, oh my God, like, okay, Bitcoin, I'm not gonna buy Bitcoin at 20,000. So I bought a bunch of ETH when it was like, I think at the time it was like flirting around 300, 400. And I lost it all. I wrote it up and I lost it all. Yeah. So like that was kind of, yeah, like the burn that burned me really hard. 2017, not just 2017, the whole way down through 2018, 2019, trying to recover that. And, yeah, but I'm fascinated by it. It's pretty terrifying. I'm happy to say I got 2 other people rich because of like me telling them to buy it like in 2019. But
that's better than getting people poor.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
The success of it though is kind of frightening. It's like a hedge against like the current world order, right? Like if it does well, it's like great for you personally, but like, do you really want like I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of like the best case scenario for Bitcoin is kind of like, oh crap, like stuff's gonna be really terrible, like it could be really terrible. And who knows? Yeah, who knows?
Our first like 10 episodes, half of them we just talked about Bitcoin.
Nice, dude. I would listen. I'm gonna go back and listen.
Oh my goodness, yeah. No, it's amazing. I'm so curious because my sister, I wouldn't say she is really good at painting, and it's just funny when she was growing up and going to school and college and such, she kind of got like forced into different majors other than art and background, and so she ended up as a French major, art history minor, but was always wanted to paint, but then kind of like held back, repressed. So didn't go that route and went the other route, and so feel like she's doing a good job, but still wants to go down paint and artistry and being an artist. And so I've been trying to like learn more, and I want to learn more. And I'm curious of like, how does one create an NFT of an artwork or a musical piece that's physical and a physical manifestation, but then correlate it to a digitized unique identifier for that artist, and then how does one create those royalties on it, and like what are the best platforms, because there's so many blockchains now. Like, should you be doing it on Ethereum? Should you be doing it on Cardano? Should you be doing it on, I don't know, whatever rareable thing?
Coinbase announced an NFT platform.
Yeah, right. Rareable, OpenSea, all these things. Right. So I was like, I'm wondering, I'm trying to figure it out. It must be hard.
You sent me a painting, and like an NFT painting, like 6 months ago.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I did. Oh yeah.
You're like, I'm just making an account. And then you sent me like a painting.
That was on like the EOS blockchain. It was like low gas fees and free minting, and I was like, I'm gonna do that. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I really don't. As any of us don't.
People are in that same boat.
But I think it would be really interesting. And I'm just really curious on. Yeah, like there's some really big, have you heard of the big albums, or some big names in music industry have made NFTs? And I wish I read more on this. I wasn't prepared that we would go down this route. But they like do some pretty big launches. I was like, what could you do? I'd be so curious.
I think I have a couple thoughts on that. I think it's perfect for artists who are already like established to make that, own that original digital copy. I think from like the music side of things, like it doesn't make sense to me, like aside, like strip out all the novelty of a music NFT. I think like like the ape, the current ape project, like what was it, the smart apes, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's
too many shitcoins.
Too many. Yeah, too much, right?
No, that's the original NFT project that like made it big, right? Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think there's a novelty factor applied to that, right? If you take that apart, like if you take that away, like people will point to that because it was like the first one that blew up, right? from a musician's perspective, I feel like you need to be kind of big, like, or you need to either have the first music NFT, or you need to be like Michael Jackson and then like mint those, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't, yes, I see like, the entire value of that ecosystem like skyrocketing, but like, aside from that, I don't see the like case for all of these being that valuable. I think you need to like have left a significant mark in history, or be first. Like everything, I'm wrong saying this because everything's going up, but like, just from a practical perspective, I feel like that it doesn't make sense that like, just because something is new, it should be valued that much. And so I think like over time, like, Van Gogh's art wasn't, worth what it was when he died. It skyrocketed after, because like people realized how amazing the art was, not because it was rare. Like he changed the game. And so I don't know, time will tell. It's tough. Like, yeah, I think if you're like riding the wave up, like hopefully you're securing, profits along the way. Yeah, I don't know.
I think it makes a lot of sense. And I think I just looked it up. It's CryptoPunks.
There you go. Yeah,
yeah. Just crypto kitties and crypto punks and stuff. It's crazy. I'm curious. You said something super interesting regarding, it has to be first, or it has to be like people who are really famous and such that has the value. So, and of course, not just creating an NFT project or a piece of art in general. Of course, just because it's new doesn't mean that it should be valuable. What I'm curious about is, what do you think creates value in your music and what you create? Like, why would you even, like, for you, what value does your music bring to people, do you think, that you've seen?
Yeah, that's it, man. It's really tough. Like, I can think something that I create like is the most important thing in the world, but that's limited in scope. That's just limited to my being, right? Like, the way something is assigned value is how many other people it impacts, right? So like, whether something has mass adoption, like CryptoPunks, it's like terrible, that little like JPEG, little 64, I don't even know how many pixels that is, right? But I think what that achieved was it was novel and it was widely adopted. Like, people jumped in on it and kept it, like there was a mass appeal to it. And so what I'm trying to say is, like, even though something might mean like so much to me, it could be worthless to somebody else, right? Like the like 0 and 1, like the black and white, like true false statement of that is, how many people does it reach? Like, how widely adopted is something, that's how you measure how successful is something, right? And so I think you can argue that in a personal sense or a very literal sense. And to me, we've never talked about this, but I think that's why the stock market is beautiful. Like, I think when you see a chart, right, you can think you can like have a billion different opinions, right? But there's only one result in our version of parallel. Anyway, in our world, there's one result. So that person is right, or that it's the stock market isn't right. It's never right or wrong. It's just measuring who was like what happened. It's just like a data entry, like similar to like that's all it is. Like, so I can think I'm so right about something, but be completely wrong because it says right there. And there's something beautiful about that. Like, there's something very ego stripping about that. And I think that's, I don't know, a healthy mindset to adopt in life. Yeah, like, no matter how much I believe in something, like, you have to accept the chance that you're wrong. And even if somebody like pushes you in because they have that many more chips, like, they're right, like that. They're writing history right there. And so
I love it. That's well said. I think from a user experience point of view, so as one who like creates product for people, and then you test it on users, and then you have to iterate and be like, I think this button layout with this input layout with this table view here looks amazing. However, if you throw it in front of somebody, they like don't even know where to click. Sometimes you're like, I thought it was great. And then you have to go through it. And then you also realize you have to learn about your user personas and who you're building the product for. I mean, it's kind of funny. Like, I mean, for Moonty podcast, we just kind of do this so that we hang out and talk with really cool people. We're not really focused. We're focused on just creating an enjoyable experience for anyone, but it's not this way. But I'm curious in the sense of for your music, especially with Run River North and or what you're producing now. Sure, maybe it's not, I don't know what success defined by metrics is,
right.
But from the users the listeners and fans that you have, what do you think it is that resonated with them about what you created is what I'm kind of curious about.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it meant for our, X number of fans, like it meant something to them, right? Like the scope, although limited, impacted that number of people, it might not have been 1 billion people, but it was like 40,000 people, for example. And to those 40,000 people, it meant something big to them. But like, I think like kind of pivoting here, like, I don't think that's determines my worth though. Like it might in a capitalistic, point of view, like, oh, you only had 40,000 followers, but like for me as an individual, like I have the freedom to say like, that's more than enough for me. Like, I'm cool with that. Like I was able to leave this mark. For me, I think something has success if it's unique and like if there was an order of events, it'd be like if it's unique and original. Second is if it lasts a long time, if you can go back to it in like 20 years and be like, wow, this still has the same impact. And then 3, like how many people it reached. Like I think that's a good kind of like, metric to ascribe the success of something. But that's just me. I don't know. Who cares what I say?
I think Daniel's underselling himself in the band. Like they have a lot of like super fans. I went to one of their concerts. It was a lot of fun. And like he also got to like tour like around the world, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And just like what an experience. And to be like, I feel like the best kind of fame is where the people who recognize you are the people who respect your work.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not like Justin Bieber level of fame where he can't go grocery shopping anymore, but like the band was signed to a label, like went on for 10 years. They were on Jimmy Kimmel, and they're also, it's like a super cool experience.
That's amazing.
Absolutely. Thank you. That's very nice of you. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, you're a humble guy. I definitely can tell. That's awesome.
Oh, and one more thing I just want to say is, let's say among the like Asian Americans in the world, let's say thanks, like Daniel did not go this route and we had one more finance person in the world.
Sure.
One time I met this Jewish guy and I was like, I think I asked him what he did for work and he was like, I'm a lawyer, because I thought the world needed another Jewish lawyer.
That's good.
But
that's really funny.
Self-aware.
Yeah, but yeah, there's that universe where Daniel became another finance person. I think he made a lot of impact just for in the creative world and the music industry world, and then also like personal fulfillment, like whatever that means.
Right.
So, and you're still alive and you're still healthy.
Absolutely.
And you have some skills. So
I'm successful as, like if you describe it like that, like, yeah, I have no regrets. What's that? That guy with the
no regrets. Yeah.
I would get a tattoo of that.
Wait, you don't have one yet? I have like 3.
Of his face with the RH. Anyway, yeah, like I'm like, I wouldn't trade any of my experiences for, more dollars in a house. Like it's worth it to me. Like, and yeah, I'm interested in things that last, like in this life and, hopefully beyond. Yeah, that's why maybe I'm attracted to NFTs and, there's like I'm honestly scared about the future. Like the rate at which things are, accelerating, like it's pretty frightening, honestly. Yeah.
It's a fear of the unknown. We just got to learn more together. Oh no.
Yes.
It's so tiring.
It is tiring. Yeah.
Seriously, it's fatiguing. I'm curious though. You said something that was. I'd love to ask another question on. You said creating like really quality like music that's original, original in its sense, impactful, and then has a lot of vibing with a lot of users and user bases. And then previously you also said your music meant something big to your listeners. So what do big and impactful mean to you in those senses?
Yeah, I think like there's this goes back to the quantity versus quality, whatever, those
beautiful,
like,
great.
Yeah, like to me, their lives have been impacted not quantitatively but by qualitatively. Like they found some sort of a connection with the artist that allowed them to do live their life more a certain way. Qualitatively, yeah, let's cap it at 50,000 people. Like I'm cool with that. That's great. Like if I die tomorrow, like heck yeah, I'll take that. Like it's better than being another finance guy, like you mentioned.
Like me?
No, don't. No, that's not. You will impact people in your own way. This is just my journey, and that was the. Honestly, that was the bargain. That was the thinking that went on when I made the decision. It's like, I could like live my American dream really great, like if I just keep doing this. But like, let's swing for the fences. Yeah, I like taking risks.
Got it. So like creating things that aren't just for fame and money, but to create meaningful impact in people's lives to make them better and or have them change things or have positive influences in what they do on a day-to-day basis and or make them better people and or live life in a better way and get through things.
Exactly. I'm pretty sure I wrote that in my journal somewhere, word for word. Like
this is amazing. So like, how do you translate that to NFTs is the question with music.
I don't know. I'm just, that's a trick question.
Yeah, that's the curious part. No, I genuinely think so. Because you were mentioning how like, and I've been trying to think about it too. It's like, it's not just because you make a new CryptoPunk V3, it's not going to be famous. It's not original anymore. Sure, done. It's not by some prolific band that's already well known, has a massive fan base. Sure, that's already created value for people. Sure. Mm-hmm. So like when you're creating new content or creating new content really and beautiful products and or music, how do artists think and content creators think about NFTs as a tool to support their goal? And if your goal is to create value for people, how do NFTs create value for people and or connect you with your community?
That's a difficult question. I think like it's hard to extrapolate out like what it means to people. But I do what I will say, like the attractive factor, the attractive pull of NFTs in music specifically is that there is some type of equity, like fairness that will be achieved. Like there's a lot of like unfair, like, our band, for example, like when I think back at our manager, we signed with like this big shot manager and he was like, I'm gonna get your record deal. And he did, right? He got us a lot of money, but split 6 ways. It wasn't a lot of money, but it was a lot of money. But he didn't tell us that we'd be trapped for 10 years. Like as a manager, he got us 15%. Like it's like boom, boom, boom. Like that's easy for him, right? And so there's a lot of like preying on like PREYEING, like on kind of naive teenagers, honestly, and kids that don't understand what they're signing. And that's just one aspect. Another aspect is royalty collection, or like being able to transparently track how much value something how much royalty should be paid out. There's a lot of like middlemen in the music industry. Like there's managers who negotiate stuff, and then there's like companies that their only job is to like listen to like if your song was played on the radio and then go after that money. Like there's a lot of that. And so like NFTs, blockchain addresses a lot of these, you know, but yeah, we'll stumble forward and figure out how that looks. Like somebody will create a product so good that like the masses will, you know, flock to it. And
Let's hope so.
Hopefully, yeah. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I am keeping an ear to that though.
Yeah.
When you signed your record label, was it a 10-year contract?
No, but like it's 3 albums, and you know, an album takes a while. Not only that, like if you saw like on a contract, like, oh, you owe us 3 albums, like sure, like we'll knock that out in like a year. Like that's not the case. Like what it doesn't say is like the album has to be approved by like all of these people at the label, and then like they have the authority say no, that we're not accepting this song. And so like you know, like guesstimated out, that's like it's like a 10-year thing. So
did you know that going in?
no.
Oh, you thought it would be like,
We thought
like maybe 2 years.
Yeah, and not even that. We had somebody in a band in another contract, and he thought he knew everything, and he still wasn't able to see that. And so like there's a lot of not so nice things that happen.
Is it done though? Did you complete that contract?
Yeah, so like what I will say is like if anything comes out of this, I will promote the crap out of is like we have one song called Spiders, right? That we own completely. And it's like it has like 2 point something million streams. Like so every time that thing streams, like we literally see money, and like it's not a lot of money, but like it's like less than 100 a month. But knowing that I own that is such a good feeling, like that it doesn't filter down through like 4 hands. Like it's one of the best feelings. So listen to that song, Run River North, Spiders.
What's the best platform? Is it Spotify or
Apple pays the most?
Apple pays the most. Okay,
yeah.
We'll put the link to the Apple link for that song.
Yeah, check the show notes below.
Yeah, we're coming towards the end of the podcast, and one thing we ask all our guests is, do you have any parting thoughts or like words of wisdom for our 2 or 3 listeners? So like, my sister, my girlfriend, Hugh's parents, not even my parents.
Yeah. That's great. I have some thoughts. I think, I would encourage people. Okay, I'll leave this. On my grandpa's deathbed, on my mom's side, he painted this beautiful, like there's in Korean like folk art, there's like they were really like, you were educated if you were able to like paint calligraphy really beautifully. I'm sure it's like similar in a lot of Asian cultures, right? But on his deathbed, there's this big thing, like this banner on like right next to him. And then I was like, what is this? Like, who made this? And then like my dad pointed out, oh, he wrote this. And then it was in Chinese, it was in Hanja. And I was like, what does this mean? And basically it said like, don't rush to the finish line, enjoy the path and walk slowly. And like, I'm the opposite of that. I'm like always like trying to get to the finish line. I want to achieve X and Y goal. And my grandpa's blood is in me. Like he knew himself enough to write that, like, and hang that next to his deathbed. Like, I think there's some wisdom there. Like, it's not about getting to the finish line, right? Like, this is nothing new under the sun. Like, we've all heard this, but like, really enjoy life. Like, I think it's special, you know, and it's fleeting, and we're all gonna die. And like, I'm not gonna rush to the end. Like, I really wanna, even if it's like 4 people listening to this, like, I'm gonna enjoy those people listening to this. Enjoy what's in front of you. And I think honestly, like in a twisted way, that'll lead to the most successful version of you, you know, because you're being a quality person and not using people. And so, yeah, as you can see, I ramble and I think a lot. So thanks for giving me this opportunity to share these thoughts.
That's what we have the podcast for,
Ah.
to let people ramble and.
Oh, man.
Truly, honestly, Daniel, thank you so much for coming on to another episode of the Moon Tea podcast.
Go Mooty, I'll push this thing.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I look forward to hanging out with you in person, man.
Oh, first beer's on me if you drink. If not, I'll get water. But, yeah, so this is, for anyone tuning in, it's a podcast where we talk about craft, community, building meaningful careers, and really anything else. And we hopefully will continue to have amazing and super interesting guests such as Daniel. Please tune into Run River North, and it was Spiders, right?
Yeah, Spiders.
Have those in the show links below. See you next week. Thanks again.
Cheers.
Bye.